How's it going? How do you store your cold food? Do you have an underground cellar? So we did have a basement, and we had a deep freezer, like an electric deep freezer that wasn't plugged in. We put ice in there, 200 pounds of ice at a time. And we would buy this ice in the summer at a neighbor who had an ice house. He had a pond on the property, so he built an ice house. And in the winter, people in the neighborhood would go over and they'd help him put ice up from the pond. And then come spring, everybody would start using that ice. He would sell to the people who didn't help put it in. Anybody who had helped put the ice away could get free ice. And then once that was gone, he had a truck come in from Millersburg Ice. It was a company, and they brought in these 100-pound blocks of ice. And we would go over with like a thick blanket, like a buggy robe. It was a robe that we used in the winter to keep us warm. And we would put the ice on that, cover it up with that, and then get home as fast as you could. And then we would usually split each block in half and put it in there like that because it would fit better. And we had ice tongs, an ice pick, and all of that stuff. And we'd pull up next to the basement. We'd get the ice off the buggy, put it on the sidewalk, and split it. Take the ice tongs and carry it downstairs, put it in the deep freeze. And you had to get everything out of the way. Put the ice in there, and then the reason we liked using like a worn out deep freezer where somebody was getting rid of, we would try to pick one up because it had a drain plug in it, and once the ice melted, you could just drain the water right out of it. We had a drain in our basement. It worked out pretty good for us. But some communities, they do use, and some people do use homemade. I don't know if they're homemade, but they're ice boxes. They're just a refrigerated box, and you put ice in it. And basically, ice is how we kept our things cold that needed to stay cold in the summer. Once the ice was almost all gone, you knew it was time to go get more ice. And I think back in the day, I think it was $3 for 100 pounds. So I remember it was about 3 miles to the ice place. And I remember going over there, spending $6 for 200 pounds of ice. And that was our, our refrigeration for usually a week and a half to 2 weeks. And then we'd also use some of it to make ice cream all the time. So it always worked out. We had ice on hand. We could keep our milk and stuff cool. Now, on the dairy farm, we actually kept our milk in 10-gallon steel cans, and we put them in a trough that was filled with water, and it was below ground level. It was concreted, and it was inside our milk house, what we call it, a little corner of the barn. And that's how we kept our milk cold until we shipped it the next day.